Thanks for tuning in to the Old Dirty Basement. On this week's episode, we're covering part 2 of Charles Manson.
Man, I wonder how long this is going to go. I mean, this guy is so intriguing already. What more could we possibly say about this guy?
Man, son.
Yeah. So we hope you're enjoying the podcast. Speaking of which, if you are, leave that 5-star rating on Spotify. On Apple, you can leave a written review. And sit back, relax, and enjoy part 2 of Charles Manson.
This is the Old Dirty Basement, home to debauchery, madness, murder, and mayhem. A terror-filled train ride deep into the depths of the devil's den.
With a little bit of humor.
History.
And copious consciousness.
I'm your announcer, Shallow Throat. Your hosts are Dave, Matt, and Zap. I love you, Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right.
Hey, this is Dave.
Matt.
And Zap.
And welcome to the Old Dirty Basement.
Where every week we cover a true crime,
Murder.
Or compelling story.
So sit back.
Relax.
And comprehend.
Hello again, my friends, and welcome back to the Old Dirty Basement. I am Matt. With me always, again, are Dave and Zap.
What's going on?
How's it going?
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like
All
we
right.
were just here. I don't know. This is weird.
This is insane.
Well, it might feel that way because we're still on the topic of Charles Manson.
Yes.
And why wouldn't we be?
I mean,
Yeah.
we really did a deep dive in episode 1, and if y'all haven't listened to episode 1, by all means, please don't let us ruin it for you.
Yeah, you can't go from like 2 to 1 and back. You can't jump around like that. That's
Not making any
it's
sense.
confusing.
Yeah, I thought it was a good idea, and I'm glad that Zab, you did that too, covering it to go into his childhood and all that and where he came from. Because I think a lot of times, like, you'll just start with all the juicy stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of juicy stuff as a child, and that was definitely cool to get into and cover.
I mean, surely everybody realizes that, this Charles Manson, this is a name you know. This is a name like Jack the Ripper, or nowadays like Ted Bundy, or what's his name?
Dahmer.
Right,
Yeah.
there it is.
Gacy.
So,
Yeah.
or as if you ask Dave, it's a name you should know, like Hitler.
Hitler, yeah.
So, right, to go back and to look at this guy's childhood, his upbringing, his or lack thereof, or everything that he experienced, until his adult years, until hell, we only got through until he was 21 years old. It makes a difference. It really gives you the whole perspective.
What you guys are saying, I kind of disagree with putting him in the same category as the other names that we just said. Like the name recognition is up there with those guys.
That's where it ends for me. That's absolutely it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Because I don't want to get like it would kind of, it's kind of confusing.
It muddies the waters.
Yeah, because he's very different. He is very different than a lot of the other people that we have covered, or a lot of these serial killers.
For sure he is. And I like I said, covering this, I knew the story loosely.
Mm-hmm.
As I got older, I found out more and more. But as a kid, I just assumed he was a murderer, and he, which he, I guess technically is, but without giving anything away.
We'll get into that. Like, I think he seemed like pretty regular, besides like the really fucked up family and the boy rapey. But like everything else besides, like it's okay.
Well, let's see.
It's okay.
Let me see if I can wrap my head around this. So, with the exception of having been sold at the age of 2 years old for a pitcher of beer,
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
with the exception of his mom being in prison for 5 of his first 7 or 8 years of living,
She's just trying to make it.
with the exception of him going to school while living with his aunt and uncle while his mom is in prison, and his teacher keeping him insisting that he stays at the back of class, and then his uncle making him dress like a girl as punishment.
Boy got to learn.
Yep.
With the exception of pickpocketing, stealing cars, random acts of shoplifting, in and out of 4 or 5 different boys' schools.
It's almost like a recap.
It's all the same. There's no difference between him and us.
But that's pretty much how, we all grew up.
Yeah.
So I don't see,
I like the way
what's so bad here.
I like the way he did that.
Yeah,
it was like a
that was good. That was
recap,
good.
but he was kind of like, yeah, that was cool.
That was brilliant.
But I know what you're saying too, Matt. Yeah, I guess we can't really put him in that
No,
category.
we say these
guys,
names
but
and people are thinking, or maybe hearing, everybody knows who Charles Manson is, but they like what we're doing, they don't know a lot of details. They know the big things that happen.
You don't even know.
Unless you're a super fan of Manson, like, you know,
which there are
Manson,
a lot out there.
and there are a lot of them.
Yep.
You're probably going to learn something in this spot. I would hope. You know, I would hope so.
I didn't know shit about Manson until high school. Until
a friend,
Mark.
Mark, I was going to say I have a story about that. So
Axel Santana?
Yeah.
I remember in, I believe it was in English class, he's reading Helter Skelter.
Yep.
So that book was from like the 70s or whatever. And I remember just vividly sitting in class, he was reading that book, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty wild. I wonder what that's all about. But I really didn't know any of this stuff back then. I just knew he was some crazy guy, and I knew his picture with the crazy eyes. So.
Mm-hmm.
But last we left our hero.
Oh,
Is that what we say? I don't know.
When last we spoke about our protagonist, also known as Hero.
Yeah.
We don't need another hero.
Nope. We don't need to wait. Something about The Way Home.
Yeah.
Another
Life
Way
Beyond
Home.
the Thunderdome.
That's right.
Yeah.
Love that track.
R.I.P. Tina.
Mm.
She's amazing.
God rest your soul.
She used to get beat with a shoe.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Well, it
Better
wasn't
than a bottle of ketchup.
Yeah,
better than a
yeah.
bottle of ketchup. So when last we left old Charles, he was in his second stint in prison for 7 years. This is when he had married Leona Ray, a.k.a. Candy. She got divorced from him in 1963 while he was still in prison. Oh, that's where we were.
Yeah.
He was learning the fine ancient art of hypnosis while in prison. All right. Well, all good things must come to an end. So upon Manson's release from prison in 1967, he moved to the San Francisco area, Berkeley specifically. Fun fact, Manson had actually requested to stay in prison. This is absolutely true story. He was getting released in 1967. He'd already spent more than half of his life in prison already, and it was all that he really knew.
Yeah, I hear that a lot with like criminals, career criminals. When they get out, they can't cope with regular life.
Institutionalized.
Right.
Yeah.
That was who was that? Institutionalized. Suicidal tendencies. Yeah.
It was also mentioned in The Shawshank Redemption.
I just want a Pepsi.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what happened to what's the guy that hung himself? The old man. Coons, Verns.
No, somebody was here.
Yeah.
But he hung himself.
Correct.
Because life was too fast.
Yep.
And the grocery store was scary.
Mm. Well, on his release, again, he wanted to stay in. Of course, you get released from prison, you get a probation officer. It is very interesting, extremely interesting. I mean, beyond coincidental. This is life-changing that this guy's probation officer would become such a significant factor in Manson becoming the Manson that we all know.
Yeah, and I didn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah,
this
is wild. So Manson's probation officer's name was Roger Smith. Now, Roger Smith ran a local medical clinic where he performed research on subjects under the effects of LSD. Now, think about that. This guy is whatever, medical dude, medical profession, a doctor for all I know, scientist, clearly a researcher. And he's doing research. Oftentimes, stuff like this, by the way, this was done in conjunction with the government, with the United States government.
MK Ultra or whatever.
Absolutely, man. CIA was doing this stuff, all kinds of crazy shit. So this guy, again, LSD and mind control, happens to pick up, not mind control, but mind warping. Again, LSD, the effects on the people. He happens to get this ex-prisoner or this guy on parole who was absolutely fascinated and in love with hypnosis. Is that not, am I the only one that's picking up what that means? Like, this is huge.
Yeah.
This is like the chocolate meeting the peanut butter.
Yeah, everything's coming together.
Straight tripping.
Yeah, right.
Dang, with my Nina and my Pinta. So, not surprisingly, this guy, this Roger Smith, with his parolees, he's certainly going to use them or offer to use them as his test subjects, right? So, not surprisingly, Manson took a shine to LSD and realized its effects. He also learned how to channel his hypnosis abilities into his subjects that were under the influence of LSD. Of course, forever seeking the attention he'd been denied as a child, Manson established himself as a guru, and the Manson family was soon to be born. P.S. This was in 1967 during what is known as the Summer of Love.
Yeah, so Manson's in prison, and things are a little different when he goes in. Now, he gets out, and he realizes, like, women are free-spirited.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, people are having sex, doing drugs. Like, everything is just, like, sex, love, rock and roll.
Yeah.
The world where he lives there in San Francisco and at Berkeley has completely changed. And he's like, wow, this isn't so bad.
Like, he came out, it was, oh my God, it was a all day long vacation. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Matt, I didn't really piece that together. Like, what a difference in time 1960 versus 1967 was.
Well, yeah, you're talking coming out of the 50s, so it's like the greaser type stuff. Like everybody's like,
all American.
Yeah,
crew cuts.
Like everything, and you're trying to date the cheerleader girl, stuff like that. And then you're going from that to these women that could care less what they're wearing, like wearing hardly anything, dancing free, just wanting to like make love, do all this like cool shit.
No bras.
Yeah, he's just like, wow, like this is where I'm fitting in.
No razors.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No.
One other thing that happened in prison, they had there was a guy named Dale Carnegie, and he wrote a book.
Sure. How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, 1936 book. So there was actually classes they taught in prison that they would select prisoners for to kind of rehabilitate them, help them learn, how to basically use these skills to help you get better in life or whatever like that. Well, they actually picked him, put him at the front of the group and said, usually had to wait. There was a waiting list, like 25, 30 inmates at a time. But they thought he would really, it would be good for him. So they put him in this class, and he used a lot of that stuff out of that book, along with this hypnosis and stuff, to play mind games on people.
Well, taking a hit of acid doesn't hurt either.
Well, that helps too.
Yeah.
But he knew ways to, basically put thoughts in your head, like, without even give you an idea that's his idea, but make it think it's your idea.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That type of stuff.
Yep.
Did you read that book?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Absolutely.
They made you read that in college, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was from 36. And that book's still relevant, huh?
Very relevant.
There's stuff you can get out of. That's pretty wild.
But he was using like these basic mind control skills, but he would get these people on, I don't know if we're touching on this yet, but on these drugs. And then all of a sudden he would like pretend to take some or not be on as many drugs as he's giving out. Like, here, take 2 for you, 2 for you.
Yep.
I'll take one. He's like kind of looking like and throws it over his shoulder. You know what I mean?
Right.
He does like the Chevy Chase. Like,
So it is interesting during this time, like all of these stupid, hairy, dumbass hippies are draft dodging hippies. They're all looking for guidance. I mean, these are all kids that are rebelling against the system. But ultimately, either these kids have daddy issues or they just needed a slap across the face. But
right place, right time for him.
Correct. Yeah. All of these people are just looking for guidance, looking for something. And again, he established himself as what is known as a guru. So this is also at the time that the Beatles and the whomever, the Beach Boys, like people were getting into this Hare Krishna and the whatever Hindu and you name it stuff, where all of a sudden that was en vogue and people were balls deep into that stuff.
Life sucked, and they wanted someone to like believe in, something to hold on to. They wanted a reason for being here.
Yep.
It's funny you said that, Zach, because so right around the time he got released, this is June 16th through the 18th, 1967, was the Monterey International Pop Festival.
Yep.
So that was like right around this area. I think it was 100 miles south of San Francisco.
This was the West Coast version of Woodstock.
Before Woodstock and all that. So the bands that were there, like Zach was mentioning, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, The Who, Ravi Shankar, who you said, Jefferson Airplane. The Beach Boys actually backed out. They were supposed to play there. One of their members, which we'll get into Beach Boys later for sure.
Chuck will check them out.
But one of their members, I guess, was dodging the draft. Didn't want to go in the military, and they were going to arrest him.
Conscientious objector.
Yeah,
you're a draft dodger.
So
hippie.
they were like, we don't want to go there because we don't want him to get arrested publicly. There's people that say that was the reason. There was other people that say the reason was they were intimidated by these other bands that were more hip at the time.
Sure.
At that time, the Beach Boys were kind of on a downturn.
Yeah.
They were going through. Now they were hot in the early 60s. Now,
but that 50s
surfer sound, that kind of sound was starting to make its way out in Yeah.
Right. So these other bands that you're mentioning and I mentioned here were more on the upswing.
Yep.
Everybody's getting into that.
The Stones, Hendrix, Dylan, you name
Airplane.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Jefferson Airplane. That's right.
Yo, they were really good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they were really good. Before they became Starship and whatever, I don't know, what other spacecraft.
Jefferson Starship, yeah.
The timing on this guy is, I mean, this is just a perfect storm. Yeah. Absolutely a perfect storm.
Just drugs, everybody looking for something. He's there to provide, and
he's a manipulator. He wakes up after a 7-year hibernation.
That Monterey International Pop Festival too. You want to take a guess what a ticket cost?
$20.
No.
11.
Nope.
8.
Between $3.50 and $6.
Dang.
The artist didn't get paid. None of them got paid, other than Ravi Shankar got like $3,000.
Okay.
And one of the other ones, none of these big names here, I forget who it was, got paid because they did a documentary film there, and they got paid for that. But none of these other artists got paid.
Wow.
They were there just for the exposure, I guess.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, completely worthwhile.
Damn hippies.
But I thought that was a interesting tidbit around this time to put it in perspective. Like,
it's kind of like what we're doing. We're not here for the money yet.
Not yet. No.
We're doing this for the exposure.
Exposure,
right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
I call it the 3 summers of love.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
This is going to be our year. 2024 is going to be our
It's
year.
gonna happen. This one will put us over the edge.
It's the year of the cat.
That's a great song too.
Also a good song.
Yes, we should do like a play, like at a local school or something.
Yeah,
I think that'd be
We should
good.
do a fundraiser at a local school.
Sure.
Yeah, anything.
Start a rock
Anywhere.
band. Call it XL.
Yep.
Oh, that'd be great.
So where were we? Oh, this guy was on his way to forming the Manson family. Summer of Love. All right. So a bit on the Manson family, if I may. As we've discussed, by now, Charles was a fantastic manipulator. And he became so successful because he preyed on basically insecure chicks and social outcasts. So like ugly dudes, dopey dudes, just rejected dudes, and insecure chicks, that's not hard to find.
Trying to say I'd hang out with Manson.
Just saying.
Right, yeah.
So
Like, this guy's all right.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Well, not surprisingly. So here we go. Now, the first member of the family was a chick. Now, it was Mary Bruner. Now, she was a college graduate. But, again, insecurity can go a long way and can be lifelong. In fact, it didn't take him long to actually move in with her. The second member of the family was Lynette Fromay, a teenage runaway. So, in no time... Oh, P.S. He also he convinced Mary Bruner to let this chick move in to Mary Bruner's house.
Right.
We're manipulation. Oh, she's an outcast. She's just a runaway. We're just helping her out. Okay. Well, in no time, there were close to 24 people living in Mary Bruner's place. All of them, as chance would have it, all of them were going to Charlie's probation officer's clinic for LSD. And all of them were, in the meantime, being manipulated by Manson. Now, Matt, this is exactly where it speaks to what you were talking about. As he's becoming these guys' guru, and he knows how the effects of LSD work. Again, in his manipulating mind, he's giving them, okay, dose for you, and I'll take one too.
Yeah.
Oh, throw it over my shoulder. Or he would take a absolute minimal dose while these guys are, taking
like
the max.
Deep.
Right.
He's like, yeah, just go play for about an hour. I'll be back with you. And then he just does this whole mind control thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't want to be like, he knew exactly where he wanted to be as to where they would be.
Yeah.
And that concert, back to that again, and this whole...
you love that concert.
I know,
okay.
because
I think you were so mad you didn't
real
go to
quick.
that.
they were saying that it brought in like these teenagers from all over the country that kind of, fled to that area, flooded it, like thinking, this is going to be this whole lifestyle. So you got all these like 17, 18, 19-year-old kids that are showing up to this area of California because they want to be part of this whole scene. And he was able to go and capitalize on that.
Sure.
Because they're showing up knowing nobody. And you can see it in their eyes. Like, he just like the Guns N' Roses, like, welcome to the jungle. You know what I mean? You see him step off the bus.
Yep.
And it's just like, where the hell am I at? So that kind of pushed all this into motion. Now you got this influx of kids that are very vulnerable.
This was their mecca.
And he's 30-some years old now, 33.
Yeah, so he's been around. He's been in prison. Like, he's played the game. He knows how to talk to people, how to get people to do what you want, what they're looking for, especially with these young kids.
Yeah.
And you say that, like, I've been to I've been to festivals and things like that, and it's like
goddamn hippie.
Goddamn hippie. I have been to some hippie fests,
Sure,
with people we all know, and even the one with Doc. That was a good time. In Santana, but it's you feel like you're part of something,
right?
And you don't, and it's very easy for those bands could tell you anything they wanted you to do on stage,
and you would do it,
and you probably would do it,
sure,
just because it's that time of your life. You're young, you're in your 20s, like the world is yours. You don't know anything, but the world is mine. There's nothing to regret or anything yet, and to have that kind of power over young people is insane.
Sure, no guidance,
no guidance,
no regrets.
No regrets. I'm going to get that on my neck.
Heck yeah. Well, by the end of that summer of love, the Manson family, again now about 24 people, had found themselves in a school bus. And they made their way to Topanga Canyon, just outside of Los Angeles. My one cousin, his wife actually grew up in a school bus. Like in the
same type, like
same fashion.
Stuff.
Oh, cool.
Absolute same fashion, but her parents were, what's the word? It's for lack of a better word, call it missionaries.
Okay. Yeah.
So they would travel around. Again, they couldn't care less at all about worldly possessions and stuff. They just wanted to, spread the word of God, stuff like that. So
Amen.
They sold whatever they had, converted a bus into a home,
mm-hmm.
which is basically they turned a bus into an RV.
Yeah, like the Partridge Family.
And off they went. Correct.
Yeah, like that.
Just like that. So yeah, that's essentially what the Manson family did here. On tax day, April 15th, 1968. Mary Bruner, the first Manson family member, gave birth to her and Charles' child, Valentine Michael Manson.
Do you think Manson was filing taxes back then?
Probably not.
Nah, probably not.
No.
Topanga Canyon. Isn't that hot chick on Boy Meets World?
That's what I was thinking of, that Topanga.
Topanga. Yeah.
Is it Topanga? That's it.
That's her name, Topanga.
Yeah, Topanga.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder where that name came. That's only the second time I've heard that.
I mean, it's a canyon outside of L.A.
Sounds like a porn name, Topanga Canyon.
Topanga Canyon.
You know what I mean? That's what it sounds like.
It does. Like throwing a hot dog down a hallway.
I know, but Topanga, I don't wonder what she looks like today. I'm going to have to look that up when I get home.
Yeah,
she was pretty.
She was.
She was very pretty.
Now, it is interesting. Very interesting. So that happened on, Valentine was born on April 15th, 1968. Not but a week or so earlier, on April 6th, 1968, since we were just talking about them, the Beach Boys' own Dennis Wilson picked up two female hitchhikers, Patricia Krenwinkel and Ella Jo Bailey, both of whom were members of the Manson family.
Is that how they met? Were they hitchhiking, or did Charles
No, they were
set them up?
No,
somehow?
they
were just hitchhiking.
Completely random.
It was dumb luck.
Yeah. Fucking bad luck for Dennis.
Bad luck for Dennis.
Very
No
bad
way.
luck for Dennis.
Are you crazy?
So
He was a genius.
As chance would have it, 5 days later, which is 4 days before Valentine Manson's birthday, first birthday, day of birth, old Dennis Wilson saw them again while he's just driving around. Now, this time, instead of just picking them up and taking them to wherever their destination is, he took them to his home.
Smart move.
Yeah. I'm going to pick up two hitchhiking broads and bring them to my house. Oh, and what's worse, forget it. I'll just leave.
You know what he told him?
What's that?
You want to come to my house for milk and cookies. That's what he told him.
Well, that's some weird perverted
That's
shit.
not creepy.
Yeah.
No.
Not at all.
And he was the drummer for the Beach Boys.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he
Yeah.
was.
Mhm.
Yes, he
Yep,
was.
yep.
The brother of Brian.
Yes.
One of the Wilson brothers.
Indeed.
And, and cousin to Mike Love. I didn't know they were cousins.
Yeah.
I didn't
It was
know
a
that.
family affair for sure.
And uncle to Wilson Phillips.
Any relation to Wilson Suede and Leather?
Over at the mall.
Over at the mall.
Yeah.
I think that's still open. I think the mall is being destroyed, but I think Wilson's Leather.
They can't knock it down.
Yeah,
No.
it's there
Yeah.
They can't.
permanently.
You don't even know.
But this is crazy though how you're saying like Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys.
That's the guy. Picks up two hitchhikers.
Hitchhiker, but they were saying the Manson followers, the girls were actually, they were pretty attractive.
Some
Like
of
they
them.
weren't,
Some of them.
but I
Yeah,
mean
they
for
weren't
Dennis
all-
Wilson to be picking them up, they were pretty attractive. The
Well,
three that they show
You
later
could
on.
probably figure out what he was looking for.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can tell you Krenwinkel, not so much.
Yes, Krenwinkel not so much.
But that's how a lot of these girls, he would get them. They'd be on the homely side, and
Yeah.
he'd tell them how beautiful they are.
Correct.
Oh, you're so beautiful. And
Again,
Just the
insecure
old, yeah, the
chicks.
old school.
and they would never hear that.
Yep.
Now, I'm sure it was a lot of, butterface action going on where maybe they were built or whatever, but maybe face wasn't that great or whatever. And he'd be like, oh no, you're so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And they'd fall for that.
But I'm just saying he knew these girls not at all. So the second time around, like you said, he takes them to his house and he's kind of like, oh, I got to go for like a recording session or,
Correct.
I got to go do something.
You just stay here, have some milk and cookies.
Yeah, just stay here, relax, chill out. And then right away they're on the horn with Charles and say, hey, man, we're at one of the Beach Boys' houses. You got to get over here.
And that's in fact what happened. Dude goes to the recording session, and when he returns, he's greeted by Manson standing in his driveway while a dozen or so people were now in his house.
Yeah, lights on. And
See, that would be like, who's this bitch?
yeah, no,
Oh, hell no. Who's that bitch?
Who's this bitch in my house?
Get the hell out of here.
right.
What bike?
But that's what I'm saying. How high on drugs was Dennis Wilson and just to be like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, but I think he liked the way that Manson was just this regular little dude and he was manipulating all these women.
Well, he came up to him and basically, hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
and Dennis Wilson was, of all the Beach Boys, they said kind of like the most, like, I don't know, I don't want to say naive, but just
out of it, kind of.
Just kind of like everybody else around him kind of picked up a vibe right away about Charles Manson, but he did not.
Right.
He would see like
Dennis
talent.
is gullible.
Yeah, gullible. That's probably what I'm looking for. But he would see talent, or he would see something that they're like, what are you talking about?
Well, they say it threw him off is the way that Manson controlled these girls. Be like, hey, take 2 more or take 3 more and go ahead and enjoy them.
As we get through this, what I kind of get out of all this is that like that's the deciding factor for most of these men, at least in the story, is the access to the women.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Guys are pretty dumb.
But pretty
when it
much
just comes to women.
Yeah. Well, it's
not that hard for you to persuade us to do anything.
That's right.
Yes.
Look,
right.
all of you, you're sitting on $1 million.
Yeah, just enjoy it while you got it.
So, yeah, Wilson comes home, dozen people in his house, Manson in the driveway. Manson and his family members ended up staying at Wilson's house for nearly 6 months. 6 months.
Okay, into that. Where was the rest of the Beach Boys? Like nobody hangs out with their brother?
No, not really. At this time,
it's just a hiatus. I mean, they're all grown-ass men.
yeah. Who was the main Wilson, the singer?
Brian
Wilson.
He was a big time druggie too.
Yeah, he was going through his shit.
He was
going through mental issues and stuff like that, and having depression and whatever he was going through at this time. So I think at this time, like, they weren't really bothering with each other as much. And they were on a downswing, like I said earlier, with that pop festival and all that.
Yeah. They weren't as hip as they had been.
No, so
years earlier.
He's looking for like something new and like, trying to be relevant again.
Looking for love in all the wrong places.
Right.
Looking for nub.
Looking for nub.
They said he pulled up in a Ferrari too. I don't know if that's factual or not.
I saw that. Yeah. I mean, his red Ferrari, like his hair
Dennis
blowing
Wilson.
in the wind. Convertible, actually.
He's Dennis Wilson. He owns, he has the means.
Ferrari, and then when he picked the girls up, it was in a Rolls Royce.
Why not?
Who knows?
Who's to say?
I would have gotten in the car if it was a Rolls Royce.
I wasn't there.
I'd be like, I'll jump in there.
Well, mixing and mingling with varying friends and acquaintances of Wilson's, Manson was introduced to Terry Melcher, who was the producer for The Byrds. Now, remember that name, Terry Melcher.
Yeah,
son of Doris Day.
Oh, shit, I did read that. God damn it. Yeah, indeed. Well, so 6 months. While there, for those 6 months, Manson wrote and recorded songs with Wilson, one of which was titled Never Learn Not to Love, was later re-recorded by the Beach Boys and released as a B-side to the single Bluebirds Over the Mountain. P.S. The songs Manson recorded have never been released. So he had recording sessions with, what's his name, Wilson, at Wilson's house. Yeah. But they're still in vault form someplace.
Yeah, nobody had released them.
Wasn't Melcher part of some of those? Didn't he like come in for a while? Was with Wilson?
That's later.
Or was that later on?
That's
when
later
he was in
on.
the recording. Okay.
Yeah. He really wanted nothing to do with. He tried to keep him at arm's length.
Yeah, because
he knew. That's what I'm saying. This Dennis Wilson is kind of the only one. Although I will say there was a story that Dennis Wilson would throw big parties. He was a partier. Yep. He was the one of the, and Neil Young was there at one time, hanging out.
Yep.
And Charlie's there, and he's singing and strumming his guitar, and Neil Young's like, this guy's talented.
Pretty good, yeah. He said his voice and his.
He's like, he makes songs up like right on the fly, like when we're here, and he thought he was talented. And he thought he was. Dennis Wilson thought he was. But these record producers and these
Terry
producers,
Milch is a record producer.
these guys in the industry were like, I don't really
This guy's a dime a dozen.
Right. In their mind.
There's a million of him out there.
So in Charlie's mind, he's like, well, I'm an artist like Neil Young's an artist and Dennis Wilson.
Right.
And we know music and you don't.
Yeah.
So he just always thought it was like, they don't know what they're talking about.
This is, as this is going on, I got to believe that this is Charles's way or biggest desire. Like, look, all I want to do is be famous.
That's it.
I want to be famous. I see guys like this. I want to meet them. I want to know them, and I want to do what they do so I can be just like them.
Which led to ways, as we go on later on in his life, doing things to try to be famous, just for reasons of that alone.
For sure. Well, so as the 6 months start to, like house guests start to smell like house guests are like bad fish. You just gotta get rid of them after a while. Fearful of Manson, Wilson actually left his own home to go stay at a place in Santa Monica. It was like a basement apartment, I think.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly, the Manson family remained until they were actually evicted from that house when the lease ran out, which I guess is why Wilson didn't give a shit. He didn't own the house.
He was just renting it.
Yeah, he was just paying a lease. So in the end, the Manson family ended up taking all of Wilson's possessions from that house and destroyed 2 of his luxury cars.
So in that book that I did the audiobook of it on Manson, they threw out some numbers, and I don't know how accurate these are. One of them was that Dennis Wilson said that he thinks that over the time that they were there, they cost him over $100,000 in just basically, it was like
that's not horrible.
It was $7,000 in antibiotics for gonorrhea because the girls were spreading around so much
of the
gonorrhea, like sexually transmitted diseases, that they just were on call with the doctor's office. Like, send over another batch.
When do you stop?
With what? With what? The sex?
I'm just saying, like, man, I just took the pills for this. Man, that gonorrhea. But
just kept coming back.
She's looking good, though. Yeah. Damn, baby.
I turned around. They was doing the dirty dog.
Here's another one that I thought was crazy. So Dennis Wilson, the record label that the Beach Boys owned, I guess, would cut checks for whatever bills they had. They controlled the money, and they would send the money. So he was away on tour for like a couple weeks or whatever. And they got a bill there for the dairy bill for like milk and whatever else.
Sure.
It was $800 for the week.
God damn.
They called, they're like, Dennis, what the hell? What are you doing with all this milk? Like, he's like, it's not me. I'm not even there. It's that family that I have living there.
I have living there.
So they knew something was up. Like, you got to get these people out of here. They're costing you money. They're costing us money.
Yeah.
And this is all like a group.
Yeah, finally the brothers stepped
or
in.
whatever,
Yeah,
money
like,
that
what's going on, man?
That they're bleeding money from.
It's affecting the whole business. So I had read a similar number, Dave, to that $100,000. And in fact, it is in exchange for that $100,000 that Manson had given up his publishing rights
to that song
that he'd recorded. Basically, Dennis was, look, man, you're into me for like 6 figures. Tell you what, you and I recorded this song. We'll call it even. I'll keep the song, and you don't owe me shit.
Yeah, it's a good deal, I guess, for him.
I mean, I guess
he did change some of the lyrics.
Correct.
That pissed him off.
Sure.
Yeah, because he was all about his lyrics and don't change it, and they did change it. So that was like a big deal for Manson. He was most pissed about that.
Yeah, because they also wanted to put like a band in and involved instead of him just playing guitar, and he was like, no way, man.
Instead of the Partridge Family, the Manson family.
The Manson family, right?
So they got kicked out of Wilson's house.
Poor thing. They were opportunists, though.
Sure.
They're doing what they need to do.
These guys were scrubs. These guys were bums.
I don't want those scrubs.
Let's everyone be clear. These guys were bums. So having gotten kicked out of Dennis Wilson's house in August of 1968, the Manson family made their way to Spahn Ranch. A few of the family members were actually familiar with this place, having worked odd jobs there. Once a dairy farm and a location for random Western movies, Spahn Ranch became a place for locals to go horseback riding. Oh,
yeah, it's cool.
That's nice. Oh, well, not surprisingly, the Manson family made their way deep into Spahn Ranch as swiftly as they had with Dennis Wilson. Now, this was easy. Now, the owner, who was this 80-year-old and nearly blind dude named George Spahn, came to an agreement with Charles. Now, the Manson family members would tend to the chores around the ranch, and the women of Charles' family would tend to George's throbbing sexual needs.
At 80.
At 80.
Hey, man.
Never ends.
In exchange, Charles and the Manson family could live there for free.
So that Spawn Ranch, I don't know if you've seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great movie. They changed some stuff in it. I don't want to give it away.
Yeah,
and this
you
has
gotta see
nothing
that
to do.
movie.
I know we talk about movies and stuff like that, but they depict that in that show, or in that movie. I'm sorry, with Brad Pitt showing up there with the girl that was hitchhiking, and it was pretty cool to see that, like, Tarantino's take on it.
Yeah.
Now the Spawn Ranch, from what I found out, is totally gone now. It burned down.
Oh, yeah.
Currently, you can't go see it, but the actual place where it was at, like, some people go there and take pictures and stuff in the caves and all that. But yeah, it was like an old movie set.
Yeah.
They would film like westerns and stuff.
Oh,
there.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, it was a dairy farm, I think, from the gate. And then it was, after that died down, they cleared it to do westerns.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it was just continued. It just transformed into a horseback riding place.
So that George Spawn was originally from Lansdale, PA.
Hey,
Good
I
for
thought that was
him.
pretty
Good for
interesting.
you, George.
cash me outside. How about that?
They also said that the Spawn guy, he didn't really want them there, but Charles like started talking to him, and I guess they were walking around, and he started like having these girls like grab his hand and start walking with him, and then he's like, touching on and putting their hand, and he's like,
on his Johnson.
Yes.
No, but then Manson was like, what can we do to persuade you? And he's like, well, and I guess Charles was like, well, there's a lot of ways of persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, how do you like? And he's like, well, I like this one. And he's like, go ahead.
Her.
Yeah, he's like, enjoy her.
One other
And this dude's like, damn.
And blind.
and blind, yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing he did too, they were actually getting in trouble for like sexual harassment of the people that would go there. They would do those horse rides through the property.
Yep.
And a lot of these guys that were working there would, like, I guess when they're putting the females up on the horse by grabbing ass and doing some sexual harassment shit.
Sure.
Since Charlie had the girls there, they would handle that part of it, and there would be no, weirdness going on. So people, like the customers that would go there, felt more comfortable.
Sure.
Versus these cowboys that were out there, like, trying to cop a feel and all that. So there was benefit for this Spawn. They cooked for him. They took care of it. Now, the house was a shithole.
Sure.
They depicted it in the movie, and I read about that. Like, they depicted it in the movie the same way: rodents everywhere, bugs, food sitting out. It's just nasty.
But they didn't care. I mean, they were on drugs half the time.
True.
These are squatters.
Yeah.
Right. Like, these are bums. This is a group of bums. They don't care what it is. They're happy to be out of the rain.
Right.
For Christ's sake.
In their defense, though, they did just come from a mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that was kind of a step down.
So, yeah, they were in a little bit of squalor, but they still had like a place to live. So they were good. They were good. You're not paying anything for it. They're just there.
George Spawn in the movie portrayed by Bruce Dern.
Oh, nice.
Good actor.
Yeah, he's great.
Is that Laura Dern's dad?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I love that story. All right. So Charles.
Back to it.
So everybody knows Charles Manson as a crazy guy. Well, here comes the crazy. So for the longest time, Manson believed that there was a forthcoming race war. Believing in it so deeply, he actually wanted to be ahead of the game when it came. So here was his plan. He wanted to create, of course, as a musician, he wanted to create an album of music that would lure white women hippies to join him and the family. Now, this would create a shortage of white women available to black men. The black men would, in turn, retaliate against white men, thinking they'd taken all of the women away from them. White men would, of course, retaliate, but would ultimately be defeated. Now, while all of this is going on, the Manson family would hide in an underground city, hidden beneath Death Valley. The location, of course, was only known to Charles. Anyway.
Man, are you on drugs?
Yeah, when all of the fighting was to have ended, Charles and the family would then emerge from the underground city. Charles, believing that black people couldn't rule themselves, would become their leader. In November 1968, the Beatles released the White Album. Manson believed this album to be the Beatles acting as a messenger. Indeed, according to Manson, he felt that they were singing about the same forthcoming race war he'd been talking about for years. Included on the White Album is a song called Helter Skelter. This would become Manson's war cry.
And that there was another one on there called Blackbird, and he thought that was, connected all the songs on there. Yep. He like had a connection to basically what was going to happen in his mind.
Yep.
I just find it hard to believe that like all this shit. I guess though, like you said, when you're on drugs like that,
sure,
you believe whatever.
Of course,
yeah. A lot of drugs, man.
Right.
So it's people have you'll hear the helter skelter story as we continue on with this and Charles Manson as a whole. But so many people are of the belief that helter skelter influenced Manson. No, quite the contrary. It just happened in his mind. It was just at the same time. He'd been talking about his idea of helter skelter, which was this
that was his old race war.
This race war, right, which underground city. Okay,
yeah. Only we know where it's at, man.
Oh, that's right. Only I know where it's at, followers. Only I do. But I'll take you there. I promise. As soon as the race war starts, we'll go.
We'll go there. I listened to an interview with John Lennon, and they asked him about his thought on the Manson thing and all that, and helter skelter, and he said, to him it was just noise. Like the lyrics meant nothing.
Yeah,
they just kind of wrote it down. It didn't really mean anything.
Right.
And obviously he thought it was crazy. Obviously, like most people. That he would have connected that at all.
But I was watching some movies on, getting into this, some stuff on YouTube and interviews with Manson. He was he's like, oh, helter skelter, man, helter skelter. And like, that's all he was telling his followers. Like he kept on going on this helter skelter thing. Like this is our time. It's helter skelter. And he just couldn't get, that's all he was trying to get them to follow.
So just to clarify, the term helter skelter was really just gibber. It didn't mean anything. It was just a words that they made up.
This is easy. Yes. If you listen to the greatest example of what you had just said about John Lennon, probably one of his greatest, I would say, is The Walrus. If you listen to The Walrus, all it is jibber jabber. That's all he's doing is he's picking out songs or scenes that happen to rhyme, or he's trying to tell a quick little story that this little verse rhymes with this and rhymes, and it's like listening to a nursery rhyme or just a day in the life. Yeah, it's dumb, it's stupid. It's not meant to be something provocative.
But it's a great song though.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's just simple.
Yeah, it's simple and easy.
It's lyrics that are, again, you would find this on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, the cuckoo could chew, choo choo could chew.
Sometimes songs mean nothing. And, that's
correct.
And people try to dissect them when they're on drugs or try to play it backwards.
Listen to any Nickelback song.
Yeah. Or sometimes songs mean something that you would never connect. Like I never liked this song, but you ever hear the song Closing Time?
Yeah.
Semisonic. You know what that's about?
I'm guessing when they close the bar.
No, it's about being born, being a baby. And the mother talking about like, it's closing time, last call for alcohol because it's the last drink that she could have. And you got to listen to the lyrics next time. Actually,
they always play that at the end of the night, usually at a
you don't have to
restaurant.
Go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, and he's talking about the kid. Like you got to get out of the womb. If you listen to look up like Semisonic closing time explanation, the lead singer actually on stage like blurted all that out at this is recently, maybe in a couple of years ago. And it's a song that all those years you just think is about a bar closing at 2 a.m. And it's actually about a baby. So, but so you could see where with songs, like you can misinterpret what they're saying or whatever else.
Funny that you said about songs. I was saying, Zap mentioned Nickelback.
Oh.
And they say like Pennsylvania, for some reason, has like a hatred for Nickelback. Like other states, I think, they think that like they're kind of cool.
Really?
But I was actually talking about what I'm going to dress for Halloween this year, and I was going to get one of them wigs.
Canadians love them.
Well, that's where they're from.
They're Canadian, yeah. But they say Pennsylvania is like a weird state. They can't stand Nickelback.
Well,
hate
maybe
them.
there's intelligent people in Pennsylvania.
Exactly.
Fun fact, Nickelback lyrics are actually written, I want to say it's at a 5th or 6th grade level, reading level.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's done on purpose. So these songs can be relatable to any number of different people. They're very simple. They're not complex themes, not complex stories, just simple, straightforward. Like they're not telling the story of childbirth or getting pregnant by virtue of closing time.
Closing time, right.
Nickelback, we're not Tool.
We're not doing vintage album review on Nickelback.
Yeah, basically Nickelback lyrics are like one step above The Walrus.
Right.
Just one.
But I was going to dress as him for Halloween.
There's these guys I like on Sirius, Covino and Rich, and they have a band called Tickle Sack.
Nice.
And it's like a parody type thing, and those guys are pretty funny. But anyway,
yeah.
Well,
closing time, Nickelback.
Closing time. All right. Well, that race war is coming. So again, Charles wanted to get ahead of it. So why not start it? Manson was anxious to get this race war going. On July 1st, 1969, Manson shoots but does not kill a black drug dealer named Bernard Crow. Now, old Bernie was a rival of fellow drug dealer Tex Watson, who was a member of the Manson family. Oh, fun fact. Bernard's nickname was Lots of Papa.
Oh, yeah, from 8 Mile.
Lots of Papa.
Yeah.
That's a great festival. If anybody's been in Lots of Papa.
I had no idea.
I was thinking of the 8 Mile guy.
Lots of Papa.
Wasn't that the guy's? No, that was Papa Doc.
Papa Doc.
Papa
Dino.
Isn't that Cheddar Bob?
Yeah, Cheddar Bob shot off his foot. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Yep.
I thought about the Lots of Papa tour.
1 Pac, 2 Pac, 3 Pac. Your Pac, none. Whatever he said.
Mom spaghetti.
Yeah,
That's all I know.
Well, Manson thought that Lots of Papa, old Bernie Crow, was a member of the Black Panthers. So, mid-July, Bobby Beausoleil.
Go ahead with that one.
Well, Bobby Beausoleil?
Waterboy.
Oh, yeah. What was his last name?
Bobby Boucher.
Boucher. That's it, Bobby Boucher.
She the devil.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Vicky Valancourt.
Yeah.
So Bobby Beausoleil was a member of the Manson family. This guy, mid-July 69, this is not but 2 weeks later, murders this guy named Gary Hinman. So Beausoleil had lived with Hinman prior to joining the Manson family. Manson believed that Hinman had received an inheritance. If I recall correctly, it was somewhere like $21,000.
That's it.
Yeah. So Beausoleil, Mary Bruner, and Susan Atkins, yet another member of the Manson family, went to Hinman's house, demanded the money, and got nothing. This guy's just simply, what money?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I don't have money. I don't know what you're talking about. And I for damn sure, even if I did, I don't have 21 grand just sitting around.
Yeah, they sat there for like hours, they said, like torturing this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Just like,
I think it was days even.
Yeah, just let him
yeah.
sit in a chair and just fucked with him.
It was days. And so, after all of that, Charles arrived, slashed this guy's face and ear with a samurai sword, and then instructed Beausoleil to kill Hinman and make it look like a black man had done it. Hinman was tortured for 3 days before Beausoleil ultimately stabbed him to death. Using Hinman's blood, Beausoleil wrote "Political Piggy" on the wall, along with a Black Panther paw print. Not but a couple of weeks later, on August 6th, 1969, here it goes. Here comes the stupid. Beausoleil is arrested, having fallen asleep behind the wheel in a car belonging to Hinman. Even better, the murder weapon that he used on Hinman was found in one of the wheel wells of the car.
That's not a good place to hide it.
Come on.
What do you say, Zap? If you're going to do one thing, don't. What is it?
If you're going to commit a crime, commit one at a time.
Yes.
One at a time. In this case, keeping the evidence, stealing the car. No, now you're bringing attention to yourself, sir.
Like you're saying, if you're going to drink and drive, make sure your car's inspected, or at least the headlights are working.
That's
stuff
right.
like
Make
that.
sure all the lights work.
Yeah, just one thing without the other.
Unbelievable.
I picture that like that scene from Reservoir Dogs where they leave Manson alone with the
cop.
Oh yeah,
and they have him tied up, and he cuts his ear. He's cutting him up and stuff like that.
Like, welcome back to Radio 540.
Yeah, and they're playing that. They're in that warehouse, and I'm thinking about this guy, this Atkins.
Bobby Beausoleil.
Yeah, Beausoleil, like dancing around him, but Manson's actually the one that cut his took the sword to his ear.
That's correct. So Manson he just slashed it.
Well, yeah, he didn't cut anything off. He just cut him on like the cheek. That would be what, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Sure,
that is not murder.
But and so it was by Manson's direction that he directed Beausoleil to kill this guy.
So Beausoleil killed him because Manson told him to.
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And so this was the first Manson directed or first Manson family murder. Now, I'm not giving anything away. I'm not saying there's going to be more.
No.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
I'm merely saying that of the murders, this was the first.
So is that a crime?
Murder? Yeah.
Yes, murder. But telling somebody to kill somebody, is that a crime?
I wonder. And I wonder if we'll find out.
I don't know. I don't think it is.
I wonder if there's accessory involved. I wonder
there is an accessory.
I wonder if more than one person is involved. If one guy stabs and the other guy slashes and the guy ends up dying, who's responsible for the murder?
Yeah, because who's to say that they get infected or something?
The stabber, not the slasher.
Who's to say?
Right.
I don't know.
You don't even know.
Get Dub on the phone.
Yeah, J-Dubs.
Come on, J-Dub.
Come on, Dubs. Get on the phone, bro.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can you wrap it up?
Oh,
Damn. Again, already?
I know.
She's just on it
On
today.
it, right?
Yeah.
We just got into the first murder.
It's almost like she knows what parts of the story we're at. Maybe we should cut it off. I don't know.
Maybe. Or maybe she just knows we get down here all jibba-jabbing.
Yeah.
You boys stop it with that jibba-jabbing.
Jibba-jabbing. Shut up, honky.
I think she's eavesdropping up there. But
Her ear to the floor.
yeah.
God,
What are they talking about now?
Oh, man, that Zap is still talking down there. It's time to close this one down.
She's like, I heard Matt mention prostitute.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
There's no prostitute.
There's a lot of prostitute talk. Yes.
A lot of prostitutes.
A lot of that talk.
These girls were just giving it away. No, they weren't giving it. They were exchanging it.
Mm-hmm.
Exchangeogram. They were exchanging it for a roof over their head. One hand job for a night's sleep.
I don't think that's prostitution then, is it?
Well,
Exchanging
it's barter.
as per for money?
So you're basically getting
Tit for tat?
You're getting goods or service in exchange for, or I should say, in lieu of getting cash that would otherwise be used to buy goods or services. So, yeah, I'd call that prostitution.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is now they're getting into violent crime. This would be the first violent crime. Am I missing something?
No. So Charles shot, but he didn't kill.
That's right. Lots of Papa.
That's right. So
Papa
he shot, but did not kill Bernard
Crow.
Bernard Lots of Papa Crow. And fun fact, Charles actually thought that he had killed him. Later on, like that day or like the next day, there was something on the news that they had found, or someone had found, or was discovered a member of the Black Panther Party was like in a dumpster or found, on the sidewalk or some shit dead, like, gang crime or some shit. Manson thought that it was this guy.
Yeah, and I forget who went with him to Lots of Papa. But the guy that was with him was the one who was supposed to grab the gun and pull it out when he gave him and he didn't. The guy froze.
Tex Watson, probably.
Well, Tex Watson was the one that
the rival.
The rival, but the whole thing with that was Lots of Papa. I guess he said, "Hey, I got these drugs. I'll sell you." It was like for $2,500 worth of weed. So Lots of Papa gave him the cash, which I think was a dumb move without the weed being there. And Tex disappeared with the money and no weed.
Okay.
Well, he gave him a shit ton of weed, and then he was like, "Oh," and then the guy didn't return it, right?
No, he didn't give him any weed at all.
Oh.
He got the money from Lots of Papa in return, saying, "I'm going to bring the weed back.
That's right.
I don't have it on me or whatever." So he left with the $2,500 and disappeared. And
then the dude was like, "Give me my money, man," and that's where Manson came with him.
Well, he knew who Tex Watson was involved with, and that's when he called the ranch and was like, got a hold of Charlie. He was like, "Where's Tex at? He took my my money, and I don't have the weed." And that's when Charlie was like, "Well, we'll just kill this guy.
Yeah,
we'll go. We'll just go take care
of it. Go at
it,
Griselda style."
Since he didn't die though, then that was an aggravated assault, attempted murder on that one.
Correct.
And an accessory to murder on the next one with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Right.
But not yet a murder.
Well, again, we have to see on this. We might have to tune into next week because, I mean, look, at the rate we're dragging this on, Mrs. Dave's going to come down here and start throwing fists.
I'm going to get aggravated assault
Correct.
on me. Yeah, so we better wrap it up. But we hope you guys are enjoying this. Hopefully, should wrap it up next week with part 3.
Yeah.
You never know. But we hope you're enjoying it. Yeah, you never know. Don't forget to leave that 5-star rating. Tell a friend you're enjoying the podcast. Tell them how good this one is. You got to tune in. You got to check out their coverage on Charles Manson and everything we've done. So definitely leave that 5-star rating or written review. Hit us up on social media at Old Dirty Basement. And I guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for hanging out in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We outie 5,000.